Hello everybody, welcome to Resurrection Eggs, day 3 and 4. Wonder what's going to be in our egg today. What color is it? Purple, that's right. Let's see. Have you made a guess? See if I can hold it. It's a Passover cup. I wonder what that's for. Well, we need to go back to Moses' time, back in the Bible. The Israelites were slaves under the Egyptians, and Moses was going to set the people free. Pharaoh wasn't cooperating, so God had to send 10 plagues. The first plague that God brought was he turned the water to blood. All the water turned to blood. And the second plague were the frogs. Frogs were everywhere. In the bathtub, in the sink, in the bedroom, in your bed, everywhere you had frogs. The third plague that he brought were gnats. The fourth plague was flies. The fifth plague, sicknesses to all the animals, all the Egyptian animals. The sixth plague were sores or boils all over their bodies. The seventh plague was hail. Some were as big as golf balls. It was like golf balls of ice. The eighth plague were grasshoppers or locusts, devouring, eating up all the crops. The ninth plague was darkness. It was so dark you couldn't even see your hand. And then the 10th plague was all the firstborn Egyptian sons would be killed. And that made everybody sad. But God had a plan to protect the Israelites. He told them that they needed to take blood of a lamb and paint it over the doorpost of their house. If they did this, the angel of death would pass over their house and they would all be safe. And so that's what the Egyptians did. They took the blood and they painted over the doorpost. And the Jews and the Christians still celebrate Passover today with a feast where they remembered how God had protected those that put the blood over the doorpost. Let's see how the Passover cup was used by Jesus at the Last Supper. Jesus and all his apostles, or disciples, like all the Hebrew people of that time, were making plans to celebrate the Passover supper. The Feast of Passover is a remembrance of the escape of the Hebrew people, or the Israelites, from Egypt. A special meal of lamb and bitter salads is eaten to remind the Hebrews of their many years of slavery in Egypt. On the morning of that feast, the apostles or disciples were trying to decide where they would have dinner that evening. "Where shall we eat the Passover supper?" they asked Jesus. "Go into the city," Jesus replied, "and you will meet a man carrying a jar of water. Follow him, and he will lead you to a house in Jerusalem. There, in a large room on the second floor, you can prepare the meal." The apostles went to Jerusalem and found the man, just as Jesus had told them. They followed him to the house and began to get everything ready for the Passover supper. Jesus arrived in Jerusalem that evening. He joined his 12 apostles. Let's count to 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So Jesus joined his 12 apostles, and together they sat down along a long wooden table. "I'm very happy to be with you here tonight so that we might share this special supper," Jesus said. It will be a long time before we can eat together again." Then Jesus took some of the unleavened bread that was used for the Passover meal. He broke the bread and thanked God for his food. Jesus passed the bread around to his friends, disciples. "Take this bread and eat it," Jesus said. "This is a symbol of my body, which I will give up for you." Soon after that, Jesus picked up a cup of wine. Again, he thanked God and passed the cup to his apostles. "Take this cup and drink from it. For this cup is a sign of the new covenant, sealed with my blood, which I will shed for you. From this day on, whenever you eat this bread or drink this wine, remember me." Do you think we can remember Jesus? Yes, we can always remember Jesus. Let's find out what's in egg number 4. That's right. What color is egg number 4? That's right, it's orange. Let's see what's in egg number 4. Praying hands. I wonder what praying hands has to do with our Easter story. Praying hands reminds us that Jesus went to Gethsemane. Can everyone say Gethsemane? To pray with his disciples. We've talked about how that when we're scared or when we're sad or when we're worried, we can pray and ask God to help us. He loves it when we pray to him. There's Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. Later that night, Jesus and 3 of his followers, Peter, James, and John, remember them? They had a sailboat. They were 3 of Jesus' special friends. They went to the Garden of Gethsemane. "Sit here and pray," said Jesus. "I'm going over there to pray." Jesus knew that Judas would betray him into the hands of the Pharisees. That's what we learned last time in egg number 2. How that for 30 pieces of silver, Judas betrayed Jesus. He didn't want to be his friend anymore. He wanted to hurt him. He came back and found the followers asleep. "Wake up and pray," said Jesus. He went off to pray again, and when he returned, he found them asleep again. Right there they are, asleep, and he woke them up. Do you ever get tired when you pray? It's hard to be strong when you're tired, isn't it? Jesus' disciples were weak when they tried to be strong on their own, apart from God. This is a reminder to all of us that we cannot be strong on our own. We need to pray and ask God for his strength, just like Jesus did. In preschool, we learned that we can pray anytime, anywhere, and about anything. So let's remember to pray this week, and we can pray about anything, whatever you want. Tune in next time as we find out what special symbol will be in egg number 5. Bye-bye, guys.